On the dark night of 8th August 1963, a Royal Mail train was traveling from Glasgow to London. One of the train's carriages was filled with bags packed with cash, worth approximately £67 million today, or around 800 crore rupees. The train driver, Jack Mills, was speeding through the darkness of the night when suddenly, at a crossing, a red signal light flashed. This was unusual because at that time and location, a red signal made no sense. Nevertheless, Jack Mills immediately applied the brakes and stopped the train on a deserted stretch of track. For a moment, an eerie silence spread everywhere. But hidden behind this silence was a master plan, one that would lead to the biggest robbery of the century. The Great Train Robbery, a robbery in which the train itself was stolen. Welcome once again to Mysteries with Ubaid's videos. Viewers, this may sound like a movie plot, but in real life, criminals carried out a suspense-filled plan and looted millions of pounds from a British government train without firing a single bullet. Everything began months earlier when a group of well-known London criminals sat together to plan a new heist. Bruce Reynolds, the mastermind behind the operation, began designing an extraordinary robbery along with his associates. He possessed secret information about Britain's National Postal Service, Royal Mail. This information came from a senior Royal Mail security officer whose identity remains unknown to this day. The secret was that the train traveling from Glasgow to London carried a special carriage known as the High Value Packages (HVP) coach. On a particular day, this coach would be transporting a very large amount of money, and that was the target.
Although Bruce Reynolds and his companions were experienced criminals, they had no experience robbing trains. Therefore, they brought in another London-based gang that did have such experience, the infamous South Coast Raiders. Slowly, the team grew to more than 15 members. They decided that the robbery would be carried out without firing a single shot. This was no ordinary robbery. Months of detailed planning went into it. On 7th August 1963 at 6:50 p.m., the train departed from Glasgow Central Station for London. It was scheduled to arrive at Euston Station at 4 a.m. the next morning. The train consisted of 12 carriages, and 72 postal staff members were on board to sort mail during the journey. This train was designed specifically to distribute parcels and mail to different cities. It did not stop at stations. Instead, local post office staff would hang mail bags on elevated racks. As the train slowed while passing through stations, onboard staff used nets to grab the bags, while outgoing mail was dropped onto the platform, all without stopping. At this point, the HVP carriage had not yet been attached. It was safely parked at Nannine Valley Railway Station. This HVP coach carried large amounts of cash, mainly money orders sent between cities. In 1960, the Post Office Investigation Branch had ordered that security alarm systems be installed in HVP carriages. By 1961, 3 such coaches had alarms installed, while older ones without alarms were kept in reserve. But on the day of the robbery, all alarm-equipped HVP coaches were out of service. As a result, a reserve coach, M3024M, which had no security system at all, was used. This crucial detail was leaked by the Royal Mail insider. When the train reached Nannine Valley Station, the HVP coach was attached as the second carriage after the engine, the first major tip the robbers had received. The second tip was even more important. Normally, HVP coaches carried around £300,000, but because the previous week had been a bank holiday weekend, the amount on board that day was nearly £3 million, 12 times more money, and no alarm system. This was no coincidence. The criminals had been planning for this exact day for months. As night fell, 58-year-old Jack Mills continued driving the train toward its destination. Meanwhile, the robbers lay in wait among the bushes near the railway tracks. At around 3 a.m. on 8 August 1963, one gang member tampered with the Sears crossing signal. He covered the green light with a glove and powered the red light using a battery. Then they waited. When the train reached the crossing and Jack Mills saw the red signal, he was shocked. Royal Mail trains were never stopped there. Still, he applied the brakes and stopped the train. Silence fell again. The assistant driver, the second man, climbed down to use the trackside telephone to contact the signalman. But the phone line had been cut exactly as planned. As he turned back, robbers emerged from the bushes and overpowered him.
Some gang members climbed onto the engine from both sides and tried to restrain Jack Mills. When he resisted, one robber struck him on the head with an iron rod, knocking him unconscious. At the same time, other gang members detached the engine in first two carriages from the rest of the train. Their plan was to move the train, but where? About 1 kilometer away was Bridego Bridge, where their truck was waiting. They had brought along a retired railway driver to operate the engine, but he panicked when he saw the unfamiliar controls. Left with no choice, they revived Jack Mills and forced him to drive the engine to the bridge. Once there, they stopped the train. The remaining staff in the rear carriages had no idea what was happening. At Bridego Bridge, the robbers broke into the HVP carriage, assaulted 5 staff members, tied them face down, and began their operation. Inside were 128 bags of cash, filled with £1 notes, £5 notes, and 10 shilling notes, weighing nearly 2.5 tons. With only 15 minutes, they formed a human chain and loaded 120 bags into the truck, leaving 8 behind. The plan worked perfectly, except for one fatal mistake. Before leaving, a robber warned the bound staff not to move for 30 minutes or they would be killed. The gang fled in an Austin Lodestar truck, accompanied by 2 Land Rovers bearing identical license plates, BMG 757, to confuse witnesses. By 4:30 a.m., after a 45-minute drive, they reached their hideout near Oakley Village, 43 kilometers away. They monitored police radio chatter via VHF. At the hideout, they celebrated, playing Monopoly with real banknotes. But their joy was short-lived. They soon heard that police were searching within a 50-kilometer radius, deduced from the 30-minute warning given to the staff. Panicked, they moved their escape plans forward. On Thursday, they divided the loot, around £2.5 million. Each major participant reportedly received £150,000, an enormous sum at the time. They wiped fingerprints and assigned one man to burn down the hideout. He took the money, but fled without setting it on fire. Police helicopters swarmed the area. Media coverage exploded. A £10,000 reward was announced. A neighbor reported suspicious activity, leading police to raid the hideout, a rented, leather-slayed farmhouse. Evidence was everywhere: empty bags, mail, and hastily repainted truck. Though fingerprints had been wiped, Monopoly pieces still bore prints, which matched criminal records at Scotland Yard. Within days, 14 of the 16 criminals were arrested. 2 escaped: the replacement train driver and the Royal Mail insider, whose identity remains unknown to this day. The court declared it the robbery of the century, sentencing most gang members to 30 years in prison. Bridego Bridge became famously known as Train Robbers Bridge. Jack Mills never worked again due to his head injury and passed away 7 years later from trauma. We hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for your love, likes, and comments. See you in the next exciting video.